All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Brad Gottschall. I am your Lower Paxton Township Manager. In typical fashion, I'm going to give a brief summary of this evening's agenda, particularly for the benefit of those who may be watching at home on television. This evening, the board meets under a workshop agenda. We have a number of items on the agenda to include, first, being a presentation, the first presentation of Ordinance 2025-01, which is the Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance Amendment. After that, the board will hear another first presentation, this time of Ordinance 2025-02, pertaining to amending and clarifying the provisions of the police pension plan documents. And after that, the board will hear yet another first presentation, this time of Ordinance 2025-03, that being for the amendment to the non-uniformed employee pension plan documents. After that, then, the board will hear any last announcements, take a motion to adjourn, and then finally end the meeting. With all that said, members of the board are seated now and prepared to conduct business. Thank you very much.
I'd like to call the meeting of the Lower Paxton Township Board of Supervisors Workshop. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Supervisor Navarro.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Paul. Next on the agenda will be public comment. Is there anybody that would like to speak under public comment? All I ask is if you want to speak about something that's on the agenda, that you please wait until that agenda item and you will have the chance to speak. So with that said, is there anybody? Okay. Need to have your name and your address, please.
Good evening. My name is Andrew Miller from MPL Law Firm in 96 South George Street, York, Pennsylvania, 17401. I'm here this evening with Zen Farhat from Farhat Excavating. We have a request, and I would just ask if this pertains to, and you would rather address this with public comment to the zoning ordinance, that would be fine. Mr. Farhat has a contract on a property on the northwestern side of the intersection of I-83 and I-81. It's currently zoned R1.
Okay, I'm going to stop you. Okay. If you could, that would come underneath the zoning that we have on the agenda.
That's fine, and
Okay.
we'll defer to then. It's a new request, so I wasn't
Okay,
sure if you...
but we'll
want-
talk about all that with the zoning and the new ordinance. Okay, great. Is there anybody else? Yes, sir.
Bill Miller, 4311 Crestview. I just want to take some time to thank Tim Nolt in these last couple of snows we had. He should be recognized. They've been real proactive in putting down material. It wasn't worth plowing hardly, but they did it right. And it's something new that, over the years, everybody does it different. I really like the way he's doing it. The other thing was, I haven't had much luck with PennDOT trying to get stuff done, but I'm still, we've talked about it in the past. In my neighborhood, Colonial Crest, we had an association meeting last night. We got a ton of branches here and there. We talked about a dumpster thing, but we discussed that last night. We really want that there. Will people put 10 other things in it that we don't want in there, and then we got to go get them out? It would be a problem. Then we talked about piling it up down there we have one big triangle and making a repository for branches. And so what I offered was I have a large dump trailer, and I told them, we can get out there, we can load them up. If I can somehow, when we get a load and we do everything in advance, take them out to the yard waste. Then the township doesn't have to come out with a dumpster. We don't have to come out with a grapple, dump truck. We'll load them, and I'll get them out there as I can. I mean, it's probably 3 or 4 loads total. There's some stuff down. Again, we're the only township that does not have a year-round, and we can, once a month. I think there's a solution coming. We'll come up with something, but for now, I'm offering to supply everything to get them out there when we get enough together to make it worthwhile.
Okay.
So I probably will then maybe just talk to Tim about it, send him an email, and or you can talk to him and he can guide me. Whatever you want to do would be fine.
Okay. And we did thank him last week for taking care of the snow that we had last week, and we'll thank him again
Oh, yeah, I
tonight.
got some good comments, we're not used to having so much proactivity on that area. Thank you.
Good, okay. Anybody else under public comment? Okay. I was going to introduce you under board comments, but that's okay.
Oh, okay. I'm
You can
sorry.
do
I
it.
jumped the gun
Go
a
ahead.
little bit. My apologies. Chair Lindsay, Board of Supervisors. My name is Doug Brown. I'm the new Chief of Staff for our new State Senator.
You know what,
Patty
can you,
Kim.
Doug, can you, I
Yes.
don't think it's not on, or either you're not talking into it.
Oh,
Is a green
hello,
light
is that-
on?
Yeah, is that
Perfect.
better?
There you
Okay,
go.
thank you.
Yep.
Sorry about that. Again, Chair Lindsay, Board of Supervisors, Manager Gutshaw, Assistant Manager Miller, Lower Paxton Gang. It's great to see everybody. My name is Doug Brown. I'm the Chief of Staff for our new State Senator, Patty Kim. And we're basically just making the rounds. I've had the opportunity to work with many of you at Lower Paxton Township, at Dauphin County in the Department of Community and Economic Development, and have always loved working with you guys. And as one of Patty's priorities is to really be engaged, given my background in municipal management and both of our collective backgrounds, as well as our passion for local government. We just wanted to make the rounds, say hello, introduce ourselves, make our services available, both constituent services as well. Patty is serving as the chair of the local government committee in the Senate. So if there are policy ideas, things that the state can do better, if there's liaison work that's needed with different departments or agencies, you guys know where to get me. I've known many of you for a long time, and so we just wanted to say hello, and we look forward to working with you as our largest municipality. We value you guys, and we're looking forward to a great session.
Okay, well, thank you for
Will you be
coming.
leaving us your business card?
Sure can. Yes, and some of these guys up here know how to get me as well. I'll leave my business card
I
too.
worked very hard on her election. I was out there on election eve putting out yard signs in frozen ground.
Well, thank you
at the
very
polling-
much.
At the polling places.
Wow. Thank you very much. I'll let her know you
We
said
have
hello.
27 polling places in Lower Paxton Township.
Well, thank you.
Doug, did you want to introduce?
Yes. Oh, yeah,
your side?
absolutely. So, how rude of me. I'm sorry. This is Abe Kittle. Abe is he is our legislative analyst. He works on the local government committee, as well as the various other committees that on which Patty will serve. That include appropriations and aging and youth. He is also a great resource from a policy perspective. When you contact our office and you want to learn about policy, Abe's your man.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for coming. We appreciate it, and, we'll reach out to you guys, and please feel free to reach out to us.
Thank you. And I have a little baby girl at home to get home to, so I won't
Okay.
be here long.
Pamela?
So just one more ask.
Absolutely.
We have Women's History Month coming up in March.
Okay.
And both Robin and I are history makers out here with respect to this board. So I would like to request that Senator Kim put us on her schedule for
Sure.
Women's History Month. I'm trying to plan something
Okay.
for the Central Dauphin School Districts.
Okay.
Okay?
Absolutely. Thank you for the heads up on that. Appreciate it. And we also will be following up. The senator herself will be coming down to meet with Manager Gottschall to talk a little bit more in depth about the things that are happening in Lower Paxton and how we can help.
Yeah, we're going to be doing a roundtable, too. They're in the midst of setting
Perfect.
that up now with the senator, the legislators, the commissioners, and all of us also, so.
Great.
So we'll look forward to talking to her.
Thank you very
Okay,
much.
and thanks a lot for attending. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else under public comment? Yes?
Gosh, I'm so short.
I was going to say, you might
You
have to
can't
pull
even see
it
me.
down. There you go.
My name is Cheryl.
You're going to have to stand in front of the mic. There
Oh.
we go.
My name is Cheryl Thompson. I live at 110 Memorial Drive, and I'm here to ask, could I be put on the committee that works for Hodges Heights? I need to know a little bit more. I've been coming to your meetings off and on, and I've been monitoring how you discuss and handle some of your business. So I need to know what I need to do to become part of Hodges Heights Committee. When do you have meetings? Have you selected
Yeah, I don't.
the playground? I don't need you to answer.
Yeah, I just want to go with the committee. I don't think we really have a committee. They just meet as a group of residents
Okay.
from that area. So
Right.
Pamela.
No, because
yeah.
I'm going to direct this to Mr. Gottschall, because Mr. Gottschall, when I was here, started off, and I've been coming off and on, and he was supposed to plan for a playground. He showed them a playground, and I was waiting to hear what had happened, whether he had met again with
They're actually, I can answer that question for you. They're actually going to be meeting in March. The Hodges Heights residents are going to be coming to the Parks and Recreation meeting in March, and that's the first Wednesday of the month. Am I
think
right?
it's March 3rd.
Is it March 3rd?
Yeah, the email said that was the first opportunity
Right.
that they could get
The architectural firm could get with them.
back. Yeah.
So the group of residents from Hodges Heights will be meeting at the Parks and Rec meeting, you're saying March 3rd? Okay, and that's at 7 o'clock here at the Township Building.
All right.
Yeah, so that would be your opportunity to meet the people that live out there, and you could talk to them and find out, if their group meets, whatever. But we don't, as the township, we don't have a Hodges Heights committee. Yeah, so I see Mr. Smith is, yeah,
Oh, okay,
March
sorry.
5th.
okay.
All right.
Oh,
And
7th.
then I want to know if I would like to become a member of your body. What is
rec?
the procedure? What is the procedure that I would need to do that?
So if you go there's
Website.
on the website, you'll go to forms and applications, and you can fill one out, and you would fill it out for the Parks and Recreation Board is what you would.
I will
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
And the last thing I would like to share with you, the gentleman that was just here and talked to you about Patty Kim and being part.
Her chief of staff.
Our Martin Luther King MLK Day, there are all the commissioners come to Martin Luther King Day.
And I will be attending that also.
But I wanted to let you know that you as a body need to be more active, because some of the things that you could get would be achievable if you went and met them and they knew you. Now, he says he knows you. Well, where I used to live, we were very active, and I'm watching you, and I'm kind of concerned because I see a disconnect, and I would like you to be more concerned about what's happening, not just here in Lower Paxton, but how you can make it a more positive interaction with the people in the community. So that's all I have to share with
Okay, so I know Mr. Brown from the Capital Area Council of Governments. He was the representative that represented Dauphin County, and the Council of Governments takes in 5 counties.
Yes.
So, we are networking with other supervisors, other people, from around, because we do collaborate, with other townships. So we're just not sitting here in Lower Paxton Township.
No,
We are.
I know you
Yeah,
do.
we're all over.
I know you do, and I'm aware of that. But I think sometimes the people in your community that are sitting here need to know that. Even though this is videoed and everything, I think sometimes they need to know you. I've lived here 8 years, and I don't know. The only person I know happens to be Mrs. Thompson, because she rang my doorbell. So, and I live in Amber Fields, so I figured someone should have rang my doorbell, and my coming to the meetings made me aware of how disconnected you are in some ways, not all the time, with the people here in this community. Okay? Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. Okay, is there anybody else under public comment? I just want to announce that before the meeting this evening, we did meet in executive session, the board, with information from the solicitor and from the manager. And are we going back afterwards, Brad, or are we done? Are we done? No? Pamela, did you want something that you wanted to bring up afterwards?
Are we at member comments now?
Well, I need to know if we're going to go back for executive session afterwards. You said you had some things.
Well, I do, so yes.
Okay, all right, then we will be meeting in executive session afterwards. Okay. Chairman and board member comments. Does anybody have anything?
So I do have comments.
Okay.
I'll start with,
Yeah, wait, hang on just a
Oh,
minute.
okay,
Did you want to
sorry.
do something under public comment?
Yeah, it was just, I wanted to ask questions about waste management. I know
Okay,
that it was-
can you
was that-
just-
Was that going to be talked about then? today?
No, but that's under public comment, so you can ask.
I was just told, I believe, was it Sam I spoke to yesterday on the
Yeah, can you
phone?
pull the mic up so we can hear you?
I believe I talked to Sam yesterday on the phone about, was that you? Yes, I was going to get an update on that. I didn't know if it was going to be talked about tonight, so I didn't have to waste his time with an email to find out what was going on
Okay,
with it.
and Mr. Miller is prepared to talk about Penn Waste.
Okay,
Yeah. Is it Vincent?
yes.
Okay. Nice to meet you in person, sir. So in relation to the cancellation that occurred on Saturday, of the three major haulers within the region, two of three haulers did cancel services on Saturday. That was Republic Service and our provider, Penn Waste. Penn Waste covers 71 municipalities within the central PA region, and so when they make their decision to cancel, it's across the board for those areas. I will say that we were very surprised by the closure, as I'm sure the board was, and a lot of comments we had received and assistance we had provided to individuals who called in to the township. Those that left messages over the weekend and those that called in on Monday, we received well over 1,000 calls. In relation to that closure, we immediately made contact and have been working with Penn Waste for discussion, as well as members from Silver Spring Township. We held a joint discussion call this afternoon and a subsequent private call with them this afternoon, as well as an operational meeting that Penn Waste held internally in relation to our subject matters, and really to stress the need for stronger communication, not only with the municipal partners, but also with the public works directors, to ensure everyone had cell phone access for connection, to ensure there was regular discussion about weather events and concerns before any cancellation efforts would occur. The second thing was to address our Friday customer issue. Anytime we have a holiday schedule or a change in the week, the Friday collections will move to a Saturday. This was at least the second time, if not the third time, that a Saturday was impacted in relation to collection cycle. And essentially the default response from Penn Waste was double collection the following week. That may work for some residents. For a number of residents we heard from, that does not work, and we can appreciate that. In relation to that discussion, that opened up lines of communication for us to look at an alternative arrangement that would allow them to be able to service those Friday customers within the work week with minimal disruption to the rest of the collection week cycle. So we're still going to be scheduling calls to work through that discussion ongoing, which may require some alternative and interesting solutions to see what works best operationally from both sides. And then lastly, we discussed about the concern for a lack of pickup translating into a credit for service. This is something that Penn Waste has not normally done in any past instance. However, they did appreciate our request and are taking it under direct consideration. They do not have an answer at this time, but we're hopeful to hear that by the end of the week to know if any concession will be given to our customers on Friday that essentially are pushed on collection and therefore not getting the full month of collections that they're being billed and paying for.
Does that answer your questions?
It was more just comment then also with, I made 4 different phone calls today at 4 different times of the day to see what could be done for overflow of trash, because obviously 2 weeks worth of trash, you're already at capacity after 1 week, and in our case especially, we have lots of diapers going on at this time, so it's really overflowing. It's sitting in our garage. Our HOA requires us to keep our trash cans inside and covered, so we have to deal with that as a consequence of it all. And then recycling is where my big concern is. Recyclables were generally at capacity after a week. So I was trying to find a resolution as to what we could do for what waste management can do, or what the township could do to push waste management to provide us with an extra can that week. So I did reach out. The final person I was able to speak to was Sarah Lefevre. She is the route supervisor. Before speaking to her, I asked what I should be instructed to do. I was told by 2 of the employees to put the overflow recyclables inside of a box and just put that beside. That's not an option where we are. We're at the top of a hill, and even when it's just a breezy day, all of that ends up in the backyard and into the woods behind us. And the last 2 times that this has happened before, I spent the next day filling up an entire trash can of just recyclables. So I was instructed by 2 of the employees to do that, and 2 of them told me that bagging the recyclables is absolutely out of the question. So after speaking to the 3rd one, they told me I was able to put it into a bag. And then finally, when I spoke to Sarah Lefevre, she instructed me that 100% we could put recyclables inside of a bag. Now, I know there are bags for recyclables, whether they're clear, green, they're made for recyclables. I guess they disintegrate a little faster when they get taken to the landfill or whatever the process is with it. But that's not what she was referring to. She was referring to just trash bag. Throw it in a trash bag, put it beside the recyclable, it will pick up. I did look into reaching out to the EA or EVA about that, because, I mean, if it's recyclables and they're the Penn Waste, the people responsible for collecting that, are instructing us to put it inside of a bag, it's kind of counterproductive to what should be going on. And it just shows a little bit more negligence to what Penn Waste is conducting here with everything that's going on, with having no resolution for being in breach of contract for not picking up a week that they're contracted to pick up, and just telling us we'll pick up double. I gave them the analogy I'll give you is, if you were expecting a package today and you paid, guaranteed it will be delivered today. You paid extra for that to be delivered. And then they called you and told you you weren't going to get that package until next week the same day, because they see you have a package that's going to be delivered that day you paid guaranteed. You would expect a refund for that money you paid guaranteed because you entered into a contract. It's the same situation, different job, and I feel the township should push a little bit more with, if not getting a full credit for the week, which I don't expect that to ever really happen without litigation happening, and I don't think it's worth it, but some form of resolution with double pickup for large items, just to make some type of amends to the customer. I feel double pickup, like for the instance, we are able to put out 1 large item a week if you call in. Something as simple as, next time you have 2 large items, if they don't match up, for instance, if you have a queen size mattress and a king size bed frame, they might not pick up both because they don't match up like that. So all I'm kind of saying is maybe push for a credit of, maybe they will pick that up without having to make a big fuss about it. And then my other resolution I think you guys should push for with them is bags. Instances that this happens, I understand there's weather, and that's what I kept getting told and drilled into my head from Waste Management, was blaming on the weather. And I understand that weather is going to cause these types of situations, but they have to have some form of resolution for that. And I think providing the customers affected by it with the recycling bags that are actually for recycling, that should be provided. Sarah Lefevre, even though she did instruct me to put them into regular trash bags, she was the only person I spoke to that actually had any resolution, and she was willing to schedule extra bin, not a full-size trash can bin, but a recycling tote, essentially, for overflow. But I told her again that that wasn't really an option for me because wind would just blow it all away anyways. And the frustrating thing even more about it is Penn Waste policy is to not even take our recycling bins if the lid's not able to be closed because of trash blowing away. but now they're instructing us to put it into a cardboard box and sit it right beside our trash can. Everything just seems a little backwards, and I feel like Lower Paxton should really push against this time, because it shouldn't keep happening like this, and it affects everybody then, because that trash that goes through our woods is going to go into the entire green area behind us. And I was just in here a few months ago to really push for those apartment buildings not to be built behind up behind Blue Ridge there. And that's the area that all of that trash, once it makes it through our woods, it's going to go and fill that all up. And that's going to be a nice park for the township one day. And I would just like it not to have, when it first goes to get built up, be completely trashed. But that's really all I had with it then.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thanks.
Anybody else under public comment? Okay. Anybody, chairman and board comment? I don't have anything. Board members?
I have something.
Okay, Pamela.
Okay. So, some of you all have seen this before. This is my Hodges Heights compost facility issues per residence. I will read it and then I'm going to post it. The issues are unsightliness, noise, dust, and hours of operation. Now I'm going to do something that I haven't done previously, and I will be doing this going forward. Hodges Heights compost survey. Here's my question. How many people, by a show of hands, would be okay or happy to have a landfill compost site in their residential community? Please raise your hand so I can see, because I want to get that number on this form, on this chart. Could you come and help me out and put 0 up? Thank you. I can't, my hand won't reach. Down there by 114, put a 0. Thank you so much. You see what I'm talking about? Down there at the bottom, 114. I'm not missing anybody. Okay, all right. It is a big NIMBY issue. It is. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, moving off of that, we have an issue with regards to me specifically asking for documents. Since I came on the board last year, I started asking for documents even before I was officially inaugurated. And now there's a memo that came out on January 6th, and I am going to be addressing that. I want to know what triggered it. I've been asking and receiving documents, as I said, since I was elected last year. I've just brought some of the documents that I have been given. I can't. I couldn't carry everything. It would have been 2 bags or a bag and a half. I would ask the director of the department or the township manager to give me information, because I was trying to prepare, learn, and understand my duties as a new supervisor. I know I met with Sam on the morning of the 6th. Which was our reorg days, as I was finishing up asking questions about the different check registers that I was going to have to approve in our time of paying of the bills. And as I was on my way out, I asked for revenue data for the compost facility when people get day passes or week passes, just for the years 23 and 24. So here's my formal response. In order to fully serve the residents of this township and uphold my duty to be transparent and comply with the sunshine laws, I would like to review and make public the revenue that has been generated by the compost facility. I'm going to take a moment to read. In a moment, I'm going to take a moment to read from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania Second Class Township Code, Article 7, Township Treasurer, which I was elected on into that position on January 6th for the reorg. I know And it's going to get interesting here. So I've sat in this room in executive session with the other supervisors for just over a year. And in one of those sessions, a comment was made that Loman Henry, who was the former chair of the board, was in the building all the time. And I'm sitting there thinking, my response was, oh, I'm falling down on the job. I'm not here, in the building that frequently. So once I started coming in, then I get confronted about why I was coming in the building, what I was being told, who I was talking to, and my response was, well, did you ask Loman all these questions? Why am I getting different treatment between how Loman was treated, coming in the building all the time, doing different things, and I don't want to share everything, but why was I being treated differently? What's so different about me? This board was founded in 1767, and I am the first who looks like me. So I don't know what the problem is. I can't get into somebody else's head. But according to the township, second-class township code, Article 7, township treasurer duties are to receive all monies due to the township, keep distinct and accurate accounts of all sums received from taxes and other sources. The compost facility, my reading as an attorney, even though I'm not barred here in Pennsylvania, I practiced law for 10 years in Chicago once I graduated from Northwestern University School of Law. My reading is other sources is the fees that are paid to the compost facility. So where am I? Pay out all monies of the township only on the direction of the Board of Supervisors. So that's when we pay our bills. Annually state the accounts and make available to the Board of Auditors for settlement, preserve the account books, papers, documents, and other records of the office, and turn them over to the successor in office. So that's all I'll share with you for now. I'm going to be a lot more vocal going forward. I've kept a lot of how I've been treated to myself, but I don't think it's been helpful to me. I would suggest that you go on the website, because you can find this second-class township code online, and look at Article 7, focus on Section 701 of the Township Code that addresses the treasurer's duties. I don't really have anybody. I work with Sam to go over the 3 check registers, but I'm finding my way in terms of how to do this job to the best of my ability to represent the 16,000 plus Democrats registered here in the township, plus the 15,000 plus registered Republicans. Everyone here is my constituent, and I want to do my best to represent them, and I'm learning. I'm done.
Okay, we're good. Okay, tonight we're going to do the first presentation of Ordinance 2025-01, Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance Amendment. So I'm not too sure if that's Ms. Zerby, Mr. Garrett, who's taking the lead here.
Let me just start, if I may, just to kind of kick it off, and then I'll turn it over real quickly, just to give a very brief introduction. Of course, we have this on the agenda this evening for the benefit of the board to, I'll say, give yet another opportunity for the board to see this product as we stand today. The product before you is slated to go before the Planning Commission yet again for another public session, before then returning to this body, the Board of Supervisors, for another workshop, and then finally another meeting in which you would adopt the ordinance. So this Board of Supervisors will have this document and the ordinance before it yet another 2 times. So for the purpose of tonight's presentation, this presentation will be very high level. It'll be an opportunity for staff to present the ordinance as it stands today to the board and to the public. But I don't want the board or the public to think at this point, the ordinance is set to be adopted, or that tonight is going to be the only chance for the board to ask questions or to have any changes committed to the ordinance. It's, again, kind of a high-level opportunity for staff to present the product to the board and to the public.
So that'll come back to we're going to do it tonight, then that'll come back to the Planning Commission. I think it's February the 5th, the first Wednesday. And then we'll get it at our workshop in February. Then it'll go back, it'll come to us in March then?
Likely that's the schedule.
Okay.
I don't have the exact dates at this point, but that sounds pretty consistent with
Okay.
what the general schedule will be.
So
But
that
you will
way
have
if-
it yet again twice at least.
Okay, that way if there's some changes that need to be made, then they'll be taken care of.
Correct.
Okay.
All right, good evening, board. Before we get started, we just need to handle one housekeeping item pertaining to this ordinance tonight. Originally, the ordinance was provided the number of 2407, and the solicitor had asked for the ordinance to receive a new number reflecting 2025. So the new ordinance number moving forward will be ordinance number 2501. So with that said, ordinance 2501 repeals and replaces the existing zoning ordinance that has not been comprehensively updated since the adoption in 2006. The board is typically receives a red line version of the ordinances, but with this ordinance, it is a complete repeal and replace due to the significantly different organization of the information as it pertains to section placement. I'm sorry, I have to grab my mouse.
Are none of the mics working? Okay. I feel like I can't see you.
All right, there are specific sections that were identified to be updated, and they are as follows: administration, definition, zoning districts, overlay districts, and environmental protection, and supplemental regulations. By updating and amending these identified sections, the ordinance being provided is a comprehensive update that reflects the current zoning standards. Staff can offer the following summaries for the updated sections. We'll just go through them in order. The first one is administration. Community development objectives have been updated to reflect the goals of the adopted comprehensive plan. The key difference with the updated zoning ordinance is that each supplemental regulation is its own section with specific criteria. By having each regulation as its own section, it allows for a more comprehensive explanation of specific process or requirement. In addition to standard language and article consistency with the current Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code. Definitions: a number of land use and regulatory definitions within Article 2 of the existing ordinance have been updated based on current industry standards and the Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code. The 2006 zoning ordinance had definitions listed in multiple sections of the zoning ordinance, which proved difficult to review. All definitions are included in Article 2 of the new proposed zoning ordinance. Zoning districts: the current map includes 14 zoning districts and 2 overlay districts. The town center and neighborhood design districts are not shown on the township's current zoning map. Key changes to the zoning districts include the deletion of the residential cluster zoning district as a development option. The RC zoning district has been replaced by the residential medium density, which is R2 district. Both the RC and R2 zoning districts share the same use table and dimensional setbacks in the current zoning ordinance. Because of the same standards being utilized in both districts, no new nonconformities will be created with this change. The RC zoning district is a type of open space development that allowed for flexibility in housing types, where the current open space development allows for single-family homes. Although the RC zoning district has been a successful development option, the district lacked current architectural and streetscape standards that are found in the neighborhood design district and the traditional neighborhood development overlay district. Overlay districts and environmental protection. The overlay districts have been moved to a separate overlay district article. The 2006 zoning ordinance had overlay districts and zoning districts listed within the same article, which at times was confusing when trying to utilize an overlay district as a development option. With the deletion of the RC zoning district, which was not an overlay district, but a form of open space development, an added emphasis was put into the current open space development overlay district standards. Specifically, additional standards were added to ensure that the preserved open space serves a valid public purpose and can be utilized more effectively by residents. The environmental overlay district includes the floodplain overlay district and expanded standards for wetlands, slopes, and conservation along creeks and riparian buffers. And finally, the supplemental regulations or general regulations refers to the rules and guidelines that further clarify or specify situations like accessory structures, landscaping requirements, signage, and parking regulations. The proposed zoning ordinance updated the parking and loading requirements to the zoning standards for parking ratios. The signage standards have been updated to current standards, which should decrease the need to seek relief through the zoning hearing board. Other significant updates to the ordinance include addressing residential accessory structures so that the setbacks and permitted heights are determined based on the size of the lot and not just a maximum height standard for all lot sizes. Language has been added to account for small and large solar facilities, which did not exist in the 2006 zoning ordinance. And standards have been established for wireless communication facilities, which previously did not exist. There have been 3 public meetings held regarding Ordinance 2407, which is now 2501. At the August 21st, 2024 Special Planning Commission meeting, the comments and recommendations provided by staff and HRG were discussed. It was the desire of the Planning Commission to recommend a second draft of the zoning ordinance and for the ordinance to be re-advertised. We have made several map revisions, and they are provided on a slideshow that is available for the public on our website. And we can walk through those slides if the board wishes to see the various zoning changes.
I think, Amanda, let's do the comments first for the ordinance, and then do the zoning map the second time. Is that okay? That way we can do the ordinance, we have questions, and then if the public has questions, then we can go to the zoning map and you can explain them. Okay. I have some questions. 366 pages. That was a lot of reading. So my first question, was there a specific meeting that just the homeowners that are affected by the zoning map changes, was there a specific meeting just for them, or was it just the meeting at the PC meeting?
It was I believe that the exact date may have been the June 6th Planning Commission meeting where we did the introductory of the zoning ordinance. At that time, that meeting discussed primarily the proposed map changes to the zoning map.
Okay.
As a lot of us are aware, there was a large turnout for discussion regarding those proposed changes.
Okay. So my next question is, I just want to let the board know that I did ask Mr. Gutschall to expedite the meeting minutes for the Planning Commission, that we have all of them from all of the meetings. So that way, when the public is here now, they come next week, whenever, that we have read the Planning Commission meeting minutes. So I just wanted to let you know. I have a question about the bed and breakfast, okay? So it doesn't say anything about Airbnbs. Would an Airbnb or a VRB, would that come, VRBO, would that come under short-term rentals?
That's correct. That would come under short-term rentals.
Okay, and I know we've never allowed them in Lower Paxton before, so can you tell me what districts, Nick, that they would be allowed in?
Sure, give me 1 second here. It's in
Okay.
our permitted use chart. So currently, off the top of my head, the short-term rentals would not be permitted in any one of our residential zoning districts.
So R1, R2, or R3?
That is correct.
Okay.
Oh, you have that right here. And the mindset behind where the planning commission was going with short-term rentals is that the uses, the areas where this would be permitted, which should be in areas where you're not going to have conflict with residents. So we're looking at having the short-term rentals permitted in the conservation district and the agricultural residential district. They're your largest lots. And that would be permitted via special exception, so you have to go before the zoning hearing board. Also, the village district would be a special exception for a short-term rental as well.
Okay, I think the short-term rentals allowed, you're talking about the village of Lingelstown?
So the village of Lingelstown allows for bed and breakfast. And given what our current definitions are, that's the closest we could come to identifying short-term rentals. So under our current ordinance, bed and breakfast were permitted in the village district and business campus district. So because of how closely aligned they were, that's where we were permitting them at this
Okay.
time.
Okay, all right.
But we are not treating them as the same use going forward. They're two different.
Totally
use-
different?
Yes.
Okay, okay. Section 405, it's in the TND, F1A2, it calls for, F1A, excuse me, 2 regular-sized tennis courts are allowed in the TND. So Ciderpress Station, which is a TND, which is the carryover from Shadebrook, they're putting 2 pickleball courts in there. So do you think we should add pickleball courts to the TND because you have the tennis courts, but pickleball courts is not there?
I think that would be a good recommendation going forward to add that as an additional use.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying because you have tennis courts, but now the TND, it was allowed by the Planning Commission and was approved by the board,
From
you know.
from a zoning officer perspective, I think we would have the discretion even going forward to permit a pickleball court in lieu of a tennis court, even without changing the definitions, but still, we could add that to the zoning
Okay,
ordinance.
it's just, I'm just suggesting, okay? Then in section V9B3, it says chief of police. I think that should be changed to public safety director, because we do, and I have a paper here, so I'll give it to you, okay? I think it should be changed because we haven't had a chief of police for a long time. And I was wondering, because of that section, if, and you guys, you know, can look at it, if we should add deputy fire chief there also. Okay, and like I said, I have them all typed up, so I'll give it to you. Okay, and then section 302, zoning districts, I didn't see no listing for the TND.
So
It's-
you won't see the TND listed as a zoning district. We have that listed as a separate overlay district.
Okay, so that's, I did see it in the overlay,
Right.
but I didn't know if it should be listed.
Because you'll
Okay.
still have to have an R1 zoning designation to
Okay.
be able to go for that overlay district.
Okay, well, thank you for that, I appreciate it. In section 1, at 301, it's operation of board. It's the members of the zoning and hearing board. It said shall consist of 3 residents. We have 5 residents on the zoning hearing board. Okay? And then it said terms, 3-year terms. They have 5-year terms. Okay? So, and like I said, I have this all written down, you know, and then I'm a real stickler on like capitalization and commas. So I'm not going to go through this, but I have everything where I found that there were mistakes. So, and I know it's not you guys. Okay, so that's just me, but I will see that you get this and then you can, you know, you can look at it. So, okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay, let's, if we could first, if we could let the board members ask questions, and then we'll open it up to the public, okay?
Is it available to the public? It's not on the website.
It is. It's
We're
under,
looking, it's not there.
I can show you after the meeting. It's,
Great, thank you.
Okay. Board members, any questions? From reading, Paul? Okay, no? Pamela?
Yes, actually, and I'm just trying to, so we don't have to deal with that. I can't find. Oh, so, Amanda, I was asking you early. Oh no, this relates to. Sorry, it relates to Memorial I. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. All right. Ma'am, do you have, before we get to the zoning map, do you have anything else that you would like to talk about under the ordinances?
I wasn't able to view it, and from there, so there's no questions that I can pose at this time.
Okay. Well, the Planning Commission will be meeting again February 5th. So after you review it, you could also go there, and then the week afterwards, we would have our meeting here too, our workshop. So it'll be, again, that you could review it and come here. So, okay, if nothing, then do we want to go to the zoning map? Oh, I'm sorry. Public comment? Sure, come on up. Yeah, come on up. You got to come up because you're on television, so, yeah, and because of the mic, so everybody
I've
can
been
hear.
looking through it. I wanted to see about what it was about rental. I mean, was that about renting out your home to somebody else?
Yeah, we'll let Mr. Garrett.
So the zoning ordinance doesn't contemplate whether or not you rent out your property, quote unquote, to a renter. What the ordinance is addressing is the short-term rentals that are taking place in within the township or across the nation, where it's Airbnb, VRBO, where you're going online,
Okay.
those types of uses, but not entering into a contract with a homeowner where someone rents out their house to you.
And that is permissible in the township to rent out your home to somebody, say for a year, a half a year?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. And then when these landlords have these properties, I'll just throw it in. I've communicated with Nick. There's 2 properties near the Turkey Hill at Devonshire. This is the 3rd year in a row they don't do their snow. And there's a lot of kids. I'm a school guy, and there's a lot of kids walking there. And it's just, I just want to say, when you rent something out, the renters don't take the ownership and pride of ownership that a normal resident does. So I'll send you that.
Yeah, and sometimes, Mr. Miller, sometimes the renters aren't responsible for the snow removal, that the landlords are responsible too. So, it's a half a dozen one, a half a dozen of other, so you don't know.
I've spoken with some
Yeah.
people that live in a unit. There's about 8 units there, and the guy finally salts it and maybe
Okay.
shovels it. So, all right, thank you very much.
Okay, great. I
Appreciate
had
it.
seen another hand. Okay. We'll do the ordinances first, then we'll go to the zoning map.
Bob Baker, 626 Lancaster Avenue. I'm just curious, first of all, when this whole thing got started going and supposedly notices were sent out to residents back in June, I and my neighbors received no information on this. I've asked multiple neighbors what was sent out, when it was sent out. Some have received it, whose homes are at the back end of where these changes are going to take place. Some of them received it, but other neighbors in my stretch did not receive it. My other question is, what is the timeline? When is the final vote on this ordinance taking place?
Well, if it's coming before PC February 5th, and then we have workshop the next week, then I asked Mr. Gutschall if it would then come up in March before the board.
Yeah, what's that, March 18th? It looks like it's...
March
it's,
18th?
scheduled for the public hearing? March 18th?
February 18th.
February.
I'm sorry.
So
February
that's
18th, yeah,
so
February 18th.
I was hearing February 18th, and
Okay.
then I heard March tonight. So there's little
I was gonna say,
discrepancy
isn't
as
that
when
a
things
little-
are taking place.
A little close in case there's any more questions.
The board will have it, the PC will have it February 5th, then the board will have it for its workshop, the February 11th, and then you'll have it again February 18th.
Okay, so my question is, what if there's some changes again, at our workshop?
That's, as is the case with any ordinance the board considers from time to time. This has been considered by the Planning Commission now probably going on, 6 meetings? Your advisory board recommends things, and you certainly, as this board, have an opportunity to amend things. If you do, we'll just have to go back to the drawing board with regard to whether or not it's a substantive change. If it's a substantive change, then of course it has to be re-advertised and the whole thing. If there are commas or misplaced
Right,
capitalization, those do not have to be
Right,
re-advertised.
right,
But
okay.
so it depends on the scope of the change that's requested.
So I'm going to go.
So one of my questions is the advertisement, right? Because I keep hearing advertisement, but suppose this was advertised last June. I just caught wind of it 4 weeks ago, maybe, at the earliest. So I'm not sure what these advertisements are and how they're being advertised, but it's not being done very well then if that's the case, because I just learned about this.
Okay,
And
can
it
I-
directly affects my neighborhood.
Okay, that's what I want to ask you. Is your neighborhood part of a zoning change?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
The Claremont Plaza.
Claremont
That's
Plaza.
number 12. The zoning map changed.
Okay.
Number 12.
Board members, if I could address this. So the parcel that is specific to the Claremont Plaza is being proposed for upzoning from commercial neighborhood to commercial general. That is not rezoning the neighboring properties off Lancaster Avenue. Now, we did send letters out to neighboring property owners. We have a system online that does an automatic mailing. Do I submit to you that there's properties that didn't receive mailings? Absolutely. But we tried our best to get majority of neighbors notified regarding the potential rezoning. As far as advertisements go, we've not done a public notice for the zoning ordinance yet. We've done mailing to residents. We've did a first round of draft ordinances that sent out the draft to our adjoining municipalities and also Dauphin County. Due to the substantial comments that we received during those meetings and the fact that we had to go back and amend the proposed zoning map, we had to enter into another draft version. So essentially that ordinance didn't have enough legs to move forward. So there hasn't been a public advertising done yet for this.
So my concern, though, again, is that I'm hearing, we've had multiple meetings about this, multiple discussions, multiple advertisements. That's not necessarily true. So obviously, there's a discrepancy there. That is not true.
Can I ask, sir, just to cut to the chase, what is your concern about?
What is my concern? My
What this
concern
is
is
going
the
to-
people who are affected by this don't necessarily know about it.
I want to make sure we understand what the effect is that we're talking about.
The
What?
effect is not having knowledge that this is taking place.
No, I want to define what this is. What is the impact that you're worried about? And
The impact is the change in the zoning
Right.
from commercial to, so I don't want a Wawa in my backyard.
Yeah, so,
So you're in commercial neighborhood
Yeah,
now.
and I don't think any of you want a Wawa in your backyard.
So commercial neighborhood, and then it's going to commercial general, is what
Correct.
I'm seeing here.
Correct.
Okay.
so is that a legitimate concern?
Yes.
That's a legitimate concern by residents, absolutely. He would be zoned R1. The zoning district is adjacent to where he lives.
Okay.
That is looking to be potentially upzoned to commercial general. Now, under a comprehensive zoning update, there is no requirement to notify residents of a comprehensive zoning update to a zoning map. If you were doing a zoning map amendment for a singular lot, a text amendment, there is, but not for a comprehensive map amendment, comprehensive zoning ordinance update, I should say. Be it as it may, we've advertised on our township website, social media, use those avenues to kind of get the word out regarding the meetings that we've had up to this point.
And we did supply residents, 41 residents, rezoning area, and did get mailers.
Okay, so the CN, which is the commercial neighborhood, it says lighter types of commercial and compatible with nearby homes. So you're going to a commercial general that the definition says not compatible with homes behind.
Correct.
Okay.
Which means a Wawa could come into our backyard.
Okay. Which that is a concern because Claremont, I know where they're looking at the CG, and you do have the buffer zone, but you have the homes on the other side. So to me, that's a concern if I put myself there.
Absolutely.
Right,
Yeah.
if I put, and that's what we should be doing.
How
because
big
we're
is the
residents.
buffer zone?
It's
Not
it's
big.
not that big.
Not big at all.
It's not that big at all. There's not that many trees.
So you know where Copper Pub is?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's that tree area right there by Copper Pub. And the houses are literally on the other side of those trees. There's not a lot of space there. So to fit a Wawa or some similar business there, one, there's no need for it. Two, there's just not enough space for it. And that road, Mountain Road, is already heavily traveled.
So
Don't
that's
need to add traffic to it. So I have a lot of concerns that I will speak on this more at the next meeting. Again, I just found out about this meeting today.
So I have a question for Nick and Amanda. Goes to commercial general, which could be a big store, a big, commercial in that area, and that's a PennDOT road. Have we been in touch with PennDOT at all about changing this zoning? Because there are a lot of accidents coming off of 81, and if you do change it to commercial general, you're gonna have a big store somewhere in that, big commercial in that area. So do we contact them when we're doing this zoning map? Because they're right, Mountain Road is a PennDOT road.
So you wouldn't reach out to PennDOT proposing concerns for hypotheticals, what ifs. What is the generating factor when PennDOT is contacted is a subdivision or land development plan. When there's something that would actually be developed, you would have to meet PennDOT standards and warrants.
So it's after the fact.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Because I think that is a big concern in that area because of all the accidents, coming off of 81. And depending on what goes in there, could be a heck of a lot of traffic.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I personally am more concerned on going to the CG because of all the homes in the Claremont area. Like I said, there's not a big buffer there. I've had tons of calls from people in the Claremont area because they are upset, because who knows what's going to go in, if it does get changed to CG, who's going to go in there. And, the definition for CN says lighter types of commercial and compatible with nearby homes.
Right.
And CN, I'm sorry. And that's what it is now. Okay.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure. So February.
So
is
February
when-
5th, and then the
18th.
following Tuesday, oh my gosh, so February 11th?
Yes,
Okay.
11th.
Okay.
And then the
Yeah,
18th or so.
I would suggest, sir, that if you have more specific comments like that they be directed to Planning Commission. That's that February 5th meeting. Again, that's the committee that really is the recommending body to this board, which really digs into the technical aspect, and your comments would be really well served, lobbied at that board relative to providing this board with their feedback, and it'd be really great there.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
You can still submit your comments to myself, and I'll make sure that Planning Commission receives them.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
I just have a quick question. I think I heard you say that in a general upgrade of a specific area, it's not necessary to inform the residents?
No, I think the wording that I placed was that when you have a comprehensive zoning update,
Yes.
there's not a legal requirement to send mailers out to all of the residents for something like this. Now, that's the legal requirement. We've still sent letters out. That's the reason why we're at the second draft version of our zoning ordinance now, due to the comments we received from residents from the first meeting. But it's not a requirement under the MPC, so we're exceeding those standards.
I guess that's what I'm looking for, to hear this gentleman voice his complaints or concerns. I think it's a valid concern. If if it's not legally required, but it's going to have the kind of impact that our chair has indicated, I think we should be informing the residents, right? I mean, they have a right to know, and maybe that would form their opinion as to whether or not they're going to go to the planning commission meeting. There's a significant difference I heard in the reading of this CN to CG, right?
CN and CG, yeah.
And I think residents ought to know, and we should figure out some way to let them know.
So the 41 that you sent out, does, like, behind where the buffer is, does that 41 residents, do you just go back so far? You don't go the whole way into the whole Claremont development? No. Okay. How do you pick and choose how far you go back when you have something like this?
We try to run a radius and see, typically it's 500 to 1,000 feet back to see who would be reasonably affected for any type of uses that are going to be at a new area.
Okay.
Best way I can put it.
Okay. Sir, did you want to come up under the zoning map? And again, I'll need your name and your address, please.
Yes, good evening. Andrew Miller from MPL Law Firm in York, Pennsylvania. And I'm here with Zen, which is Z-E-N-E, Farhat, F-A-R-H-A-T. He is a contract purchaser of a parcel on Crumbs Mill Road. It's parcel 35-037-010-0000000. It's currently zoned R1, and we're here this evening to ask if the board would consider changing the zoning on that parcel as part of this process to Business Campus to BC. If I could approach the board, I have a map just to give you a perspective of
Okay.
where the parcel is.
If I can ask, what is around it as far as the other zoning districts? Because you're saying it's R1.
Business commercial. I'm sorry, business campus.
Right across the street, this is that property as soon as you come underneath that overpass from 81.
Oh, okay.
Come over, it's on the right.
Oh, I know exactly where it's at.
Power lines, I
Yep.
think, go up through there. I'm familiar with that property. Yeah, doctor's office and all that stuff is on the other side.
What, this?
So it's down from the game commission?
Can you, no, that's on Elmerton. This is on, can you bring this up, the map on there or not? So you know where Colonial, where Cross Point Church is?
Yeah,
Okay, so that's Crumbs Mill.
right.
You're going to go the whole way out there. When you go underneath the underpass, on the right-hand side, there's a whole bunch of land there. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, to get there, you got to go through all that. I mean, there's all the office buildings and everything. Then you go through.
Office buildings and go under.
Right there on the right. Yeah.
And then beside that,
Yeah.
and there are houses, that piece of land is on the right-hand side. There are a lot of houses on the left. Actually, when you pass that land and start up the hill to the stop sign, there's some houses there also.
Yeah. Now this is up, but on the left side, I used to work there. That's why I know. Right across the street. So, but this is it. So this, what you're showing, it butts up against the 81. It touched 81. Is that correct, sir?
So are we looking
Yeah.
at the parcel to the north of Commerce Drive?
It's the part, you just had the cursor on it right there, that parcel.
Right, so
Gotcha.
that is, the
That's-
surrounding properties to that are R1.
That is correct, and the intersection is already surrounded on, I mean, basically on three sides by the business commercial.
That's actually one piece, like, it shows it.
Okay, you'll have to come up to the mic because you're on television, so, yeah. So
What you
the,
just circled in red is actually, that should be two lot, that's one lot, it's bigger, like both those, yep, that's all one lot. It shows it like down in GIS mapping, but it's actually one.
and you're just asking for that one lot to be rezoned to BC.
That's correct. The 2018 comprehensive plan, the draft land use map in that, which is on, there's a screenshot on the third page of what I handed out, actually showed that area to be business campus. So we're requesting, we feel as though that's consistent with what your comprehensive plan shows for the future there, as well as I think there was already mention of the power lines running through that parcel, and the fact that this sits right up against the interstate. It's not a particularly great parcel for residential. It is, we feel, more appropriate as business campus. Mr. Farhat doesn't have any specific plans for the parcel at this point. He's looking to buy it as an investment, but would look in the future, based on those uses that are approved in that zoning district, to potentially develop something there, which would most likely be consistent with what's across the street on Crumbs Mill Road already. So we apologize, this is relatively recent that we found out that the rezonings were going on. So we're here tonight because we understand that the process is well along, the approval process and the review process is well along, and we are somewhat late coming to the game with this, but we were hopeful that we could still get in the process, because I think, as was stated, there's still review going on, and there could be some other changes in the zoning map as well. We think this makes sense and would be the time to at least request that change.
So, Mr. Gutschall, do you want to handle this, or should I ask Amanda?
Well, let me just ask staff. I mean, did Planning Commission discuss that at all in
this
conjunction with the comprehensive plan showing it as a greater?
This lot was never contemplated.
So is this something that then we should refer back to the Planning Commission?
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, sir, do you gentlemen anticipate being at the Planning Commission meeting, or is this something that?
If the board is willing to consider this, if the board's open to considering it and you're open to potentially additional changes in the map, then yes, we would want to participate fully in the process going forward. And we have no problem with that, just because of the time sensitivity of this, we're here tonight making the request, because we don't want to get any further along in the process and have not informed or made you aware of that potential change and how it relates to the comprehensive plan.
How set was Planning Commission on the map as presented?
Well, the 45-day review period has already started. The map and zoning ordinance draft, everything was delivered by December 26th to all the municipalities in Dauphin County to kind of start the clock for the hopeful February 18th adoption. If Planning Commission were to move forward, that process restarts itself. This would be a substantial change to the map, to the zoning ordinance.
I guess it would take, I don't mean, Madam Solicitor, to put you on the spot. I suspect no answer tonight, but I mean, would it be considered a substantive change? I mean, this is not changing at all the general character of the zoning map, and it does already butt against existing zoning and all those questions, but I'm curious.
I would think, to the extent that you said it has not yet been advertised, so long as these changes are made pre-advertisement, substantial or insubstantial is an irrelevant discussion point. But to your point, Brad, I'll look into it. I think that this could potentially pass muster for not necessarily being substantial, given the map as proposed and the size of the parcel relative to the surrounding areas.
You know, and if we have to go into March, we can just go into March. I mean, it would just be another 2 weeks, that's it.
Yeah, and I would just note, I would agree with your solicitor, and And I would just note that there was discussion of some other changes being made in the zoning ordinance itself. I think we're requesting something similar to that at this point, so.
Well, and I know I have a concern on the CN going to CG, so I don't know about, anybody else, so. So should we just ask him to come on February the 5th to the Planning Commission?
I mean, of course, no vote is being taken by the board this evening. I suspect that in order, of course, for you to make the best case, it would be best for you to appear physically before the Planning Commission. If that's not in your cards, our staff certainly will present the case on your behalf to the Planning Commission, but you can attend or not, but I would suspect your case would be bolstered by your attendance. So I think it'd be appropriate that you would attend.
Yeah, and it sounds as though you are willing to, or you're open to consideration of this. We can submit a formal request in letter form to staff that can be presented, and we would like to appear at the Planning Commission.
I would recommend that you would
to keep
appear.
advocating for this. So again, we just wanted to make sure that because we knew about this process now and we just found out about the process, we wanted to make sure that we get here and we make it known that we're making the request. So we can formalize that in a letter to the township.
And then Planning Commission will see you on February the 5th.
That sounds
Got
great.
here in the nick of time tonight.
Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you. Okay. Anybody else from the public on the zoning map? Board, do you have anything that you want to add? Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
Hi, good evening, Marisa White. Just in
Can
reference.
you give your address, please, honey?
Delano Boulevard. Just in reference to advertising, how does the board or Lower Paxton go about advertising for those individuals that aren't on social media, Facebook, don't receive flyers? How would particularly this gentleman's neighborhood have been notified outside of?
Well, do you want to explain how the advertising's done, Amanda?
So the advertising is through the Sun, and it meets all the public notice requirements. We also do post it on our website, as well as the communications director sends out, I believe, social media posts.
Okay.
So that's it? Just for those individuals that don't use social media or don't have Lower Paxton as like a home page or not searching frequently, how would we get notified? I mean, could you post something outside the township building? Or is that above and beyond what's required of the township?
Yeah.
We do post our agendas out on the bulletin board out front. They are posted every week. Beyond that, we don't post any physical copies of agendas or notices anywhere else. So on the bulletin board, in the Sun, the website, and social media, they are the avenues.
Okay, so in addition to the zoning, like the zoning change for the neighborhood that was mentioned, could something be posted so those beyond the 40 homes would be privy to it?
I mean, moving forward in a case where there is a rezoning taking place, the posting requirements are different for those specific instances. So, I mean, in those instances, yes, the properties are physically posted. You may have noticed from time to time small yellow signs that indicate a zoning change afoot. We are in the process now of actually redesigning those signs to be larger, to be a little clearer with regard to their visibility, and also in relation to the signs, having a more, I'll say, user-friendly sort of channel back to our website than to read further details about that specific zoning request. So,
Gotcha. Are you saying it'll have a QR code on it?
yes, that's exactly right. Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
but in this case, like Mr. Garrett had mentioned, with regard to the requirements surrounding comprehensive zoning changes, it is not legally required due to the fact that in a case like this, where we have, the entire township being rezoned literally at once, posting requirements or any other legal requirements with regard to the advertisement and notifying specific homes would be quite onerous on local government to making that happen. So I don't pretend to speak for the General Assembly, but I assume that's why the requirements are different for comprehensive zoning versus more spot zoning, if you would.
Map amendment,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to put you guys on the spot, but all the zoning changes, residents did get, letters like they explained. Do you remember how many letters you sent out?
She said,
I was just curious, over 1,000? Over 1,000, okay. Right, okay.
And that was by mail? They were mailed something? They were mailed. Okay,
Yeah.
great.
And that
Thank
was all
you.
over the township where the zoning changes were being made. And as Mr. Garrett said, they went back, what'd you say,
500
500
feet?
feet? Yeah,
Great.
okay?
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Yes?
Can I just get some clarification then? So you're saying the Sun, as in the Hummelstown newspaper? Hummelstown newspaper, which affects
Yes,
Lower
sir.
Paxton Township.
Yes, sir. With the closure of the Paxton Herald being at that point our local newspaper of record, the closest newspaper of record that actually hits most homes within the Lower Paxton relative to the other publications, not speaking about the Patriot, Penn Live, the Sun has most number of subscribers in Lower Paxton in comparison to those other.
I'd be really curious the number of people that subscribe to that. But
Mr.
anyway.
Gottschall, if I may really quickly, just to offer clarification generally, this is one place where the legislature simply hasn't caught up to reality, and the legal requirement is that it be published in a publication of general circulation. That's the phrase from and so you can't just, it has to essentially be a publication. And you have to, there are certain townships that it literally gets posted in the courthouse circular that like 3 attorneys over the age of 87 read. It's just the reality of what the law dictates in terms of where it's published.
The hoop you're jumping through. Okay. All right, got you. Social media. What social media is used to advertise this?
Township,
Yeah.
Lower Paxton Township.
Paxton Township.
So that's the only social. You're not
We-
talking
we-
about
we-
Facebook
yeah.
or anything else like that.
No,
You're just
Fa-
talking-
Facebook,
Yeah.
Lower Paxton Township,
Okay.
Facebook.
Well, I don't use Facebook.
Website. We have a website. We have a Twitter. We have Instagram, and Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and the website.
So what I'm hearing tonight is I need to check that all the time. Then if I want know about any zoning changes that are taking place.
In addition to the fact, sir, that our website does have a system wherein you may register for it to receive automatic updates on agendas. So while you're not going to get a notice saying, "Hey, we're rezoning tonight," you will receive a notice saying that there is a new agenda uploaded for Planning Commission, for example. And if you are subscribed to the Planning Commission RSS feed, you will get that notice and you will see that. So
Okay. Thanks for the clarification.
And I know it's not easy, sir. I'll bet you're probably a little bit younger than me, but we're close. Probably when you were growing up, your parents and everyone, you could read the newspaper, what your local government is doing. That's what I used to do for a living, and they got rid of all those. So if they still had a reporter coming and covering this, we would have seen it in the paper, and it was a lot easier back then. It just, there would be a buzz out there, and everyone be talking about it. But
Trust me, we do miss the Paxton Herald.
yeah,
We do.
sure.
If I
Yeah.
may, you sound a little bit disappointed in our advertisement. Did you have some recommendation for how we could better inform the community?
I mean, I appreciated your sentiment earlier. Like, if it's something that is definitely going to affect a particular neighborhood, that everyone in that neighborhood be made aware of it, as opposed to 14 people.
No, 41
Okay,
people.
sorry.
Yeah,
And I guess
got
I
the
don't know
numbers
how we
reversed, sorry.
would do that. You know, as Mr. Judd has said, when everybody got the Daily Patriot News or I'm old enough to remember the evening paper too, putting it in the paper was one way. How do we do that today? You know, as our manager has said, we put it on the website, but I understand you have to go looking for it. And I can appreciate your concern. If it's something of this nature, it should be pushed out to you. You shouldn't have to go pull for it. I just don't know how to do that. And if you have any ideas, I'm all ears.
I mean, mailings, I understand the cost of that. I mean, stamp or whatever, but a simple mailing. I mean, I got no information about it. Had I not spoken to people who were maybe got a letter, I would have no idea about this. So fortunately I did. I mean, I'm very fortunate that I did. But in a situation in our area where it's going to affect not just those 41 people that got the mailings, but so many homes in that development, then those people need to really be notified and know about it, because I'm sure they would be here if they knew about it. I don't think they do. So, but again, I appreciate the clarification, and I appreciate, your willingness to listen. And
I understand and appreciate your concern. And if we knew a better way, I would endorse us taking it. I just don't know what that better way is.
I'll put some thought into it. Thank you.
We used to do a newsletter many, many, many years ago, 4 times a year. The only problem was it was hanging out, thousands and thousands were hanging out at the post office and not getting delivered, and it was $10,000 a quarter. So we had to make the decision that was $40,000 a year that was going into the garbage. So we had to make the decision to, disband the newsletter, and we went to all of the social media, the website, and you can sign up for emails. If you go online, you can sign up for an email, and Mr. Searcher back there, our communications manager, he does send out newsletters from time to time, and it's an automatic, with the email, lets you know what's happening in the township and everything. So,
I appreciate that. Thank
yeah,
you.
yep.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else before we move on? Okay. Yep. All righty. Okay, are you guys staying or are you leaving?
Did you want to go over the map?
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Duh. It's okay. Yeah, we want to go over the map. I think the key question is, and I think it's going to be hard to do, but why the areas that you're changing, why are you changing them?
And I'd be happy to provide some color to that. Brad, if we'd able to go to the map that I think is proposed change. Excellent. There we go.
That's the other one, which we don't have a copy of.
You want to start north to south, just so we can keep it in frame?
Yeah, I think that's the best way to move forward. So the property, the parcels you see to the north were currently our residential cluster zoning districts. In the memo that was provided, we indicated that that district has been deleted as a use option we do not want to see utilized going further, due to being in favor of our TND and neighborhood design district zoning ordinance. With the RC zoning district, it shared the same standards as the R2 district, which is why the R2 replaced all of the previously zoned residential cluster zoning districts. Both allowed single-family homes, both allowed townhouses, both allowed duplexes. No new nonconformities were created. I guess if you want to move to the east, you see the NDD, which is the neighborhood design district, and then you'll see 2 R1 zoning districts that were previously zoned AR. They are being recommended to be upzoned to R1 to account for the neighborhood design transfer. Just want the tongue twister here. Let me get that for a second. Bear with me one moment. So the two parcels to the east that are shown as R1 is to account for the neighborhood design transitional development, which is in the neighborhood design district. It allows for properties that are zoned R1, R2, R3 to, if it's developed, if the whole development comes in as once under one preliminary plan, those areas that are shown would be able to utilize the same standards as the neighborhood design district without it being zoned to the NDD. It could simply remain the R1 zoning district and utilize those same standards. Okay, I guess if you want to, is there any questions on that before I move on? No? Okay.
So is that all the land beside Wolfensberger? Okay, so clear out to Lingelstown Road.
Blue Ridge Avenue to Lingelstown Road, yes.
Okay. And then along Piketown, okay.
Quite frankly, that's going to be the next major development in the township, probably over the course of 10, 12 years.
Okay.
In the center, you'll see a highlighted area that is the Village District. To the north, that was previously zoned R1, and to the south, that was commercial neighborhood. Per our comp plan, the recommendation was to expand the Village District to the north to have that mixed use available to properties that would most have the ability to benefit from it. Commercial neighborhood really wasn't compatible with the Village and the R1 zoning district. To the north, there's a church that's situated there on a large parcel of land. There was a interest from that organization to have that potential, to have that rezoned to Village to account for greater amount of uses, which we agree with and our comp plan supported. Moving to the south, the commercial neighborhood zoning district, that was previously zoned business campus. So to orient yourself, you're looking to where Aruga's is at the corner of Colonial and Lingelstown Road. You're moving east. There are commercial properties and what's the historic home? That's along Lingelstown Road. The Gilcrest property.
Oh, okay.
Those lots were previously zoned business campus. We're down zoning it to commercial neighborhood. Per our proposed zoning ordinance, business campus is a more intense use. So the commercial neighborhood was more in line with how, that corridor and would be more compatible with the residential neighborhoods to the south. Brad, if you wanted to move to the west, there were office neighborhood. So to the western portion of the township, those lots that you see fronting Lingelstown Road are going to remain office neighborhood. There's a dental office and a couple residential homes that no longer carry commercial uses. And the whole section to the south that's shown as yellow was zoned office neighborhood. We are proposing that to have a R1 designation, which is truly in the character of that neighborhood. That is what the residents wanted to see in that section of the township. This section here, R2 zoning district, that's Stray Winds Farm, currently carried the residential cluster development. Now it's going to be carry the R2 designation. I've explained what the intent was behind that rezoning. Along Colonial Road, there's two properties. One is developed with two office buildings on the corner of Colonial and Earl Drive. That was previously zoned office neighborhood. It was the desire of the Planning Commission to have that upzone to commercial neighborhood. The land that you see that is shown as R2 was a vacant, undeveloped lot that carried the RC designation. It is now going to carry the residential medium density designation going forward. Anywhere you see that was zoned, that's large parcels of land that are R2, carried the previous residential cluster zoning district, which was a quite popular development option for developers in the late 90s and early 2000s. These highlighted sections of office neighborhood are currently zoned office neighborhood, but there was a desire during the process to have them zoned to business campus due to looking more closely at the area and comments from staff and residents. Those areas are remaining office neighborhood, which is why it's highlighted at this time. This section of land that's R1 open space development also had a residential cluster zoning district designation. That's an undeveloped parcel of land. And to keep it aligned with the properties that are along Locust Lane, that's been designated R1 with the open space development overlay, which if that were to be developed, they could have the same housing density as R1, but utilize lots that are within the R2 district. So 10,000 square foot lots.
Is that across from Votech? No.
Yes.
Okay, so that's the big space, okay.
Correct.
So it's R1 but open space, okay.
So they would, going forward, they would be able to utilize R2 standards, but the same density as the R1.
Okay.
And to the right was another residential cluster development. I forget the name of. To Embers. Yeah. About 14 lots, small development, residential cluster carrying the R2 designation.
That's a denser designation, isn't it?
No.
No?
Same density. That's why R2 and RC on our use table share the same use table, the same designation. The density is the same.
Okay.
Along Union Deposit Road, there was a section that was zoned business campus. The surrounding area is commercial general. There was a desire to continue that commercial general designation since its retail uses and the office research development is more to the south of Union Deposit Road, not so much on the along the Cartway of UD. And this is Bishop McDevitt. For whatever reason, our current zoning ordinance had that zoned R3. That's carrying an institutional designation. I believe the lot to the south was an R3 designation as well, and it's carrying an R1 designation, which is more in line with the character of the neighborhood and the vicinity of the township. Brad, I think we probably... Oh, okay. Great. Right there? Yes. There's a small plot of land, parcel that was zoned institutional. It was the desire of the Planning Commission to have that rezoned to, there it is, to residential medium density.
Residential medium density, okay.
Institutional turned out to be a very difficult development for a lot of that size. R2 was more appropriate, gives some flexibility for the owner.
What's around it?
Well, you have Costco across the street, and then you have the Wilshire development to the south, which has a mixture of townhouses off of Royal Avenue. Then it goes to R1, which is single-family homes.
Okay.
Members of the board, if you have questions for myself, I'd be happy to answer them at this time.
And can you explain again why they're changing the one on Mountain Road from CN to CG?
Okay, so even during the comprehensive plan outlined a goal that you should look for development options in different areas. This section along North Mountain Road was identified as an area that could potentially use a boost with upzoning to commercial general. Prior to the beginning of the stages of the zoning ordinance, Township met with the owners as they were looking for ideas on how to get visibility to the site. First starting with signage, and then what uses they could utilize on their property. Explaining to the owners that there's a zoning ordinance that's looking to get worked on down the line. An option could be zoning that to commercial general, since we have commercial general to the south, and that would be a contiguous zoning designation from 81 along to North Mountain Road.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions on the zoning map? Good explanation, Nick, Amanda, appreciate it. Okay. Anybody from the public, would they like to speak on the zoning map? Okay. Okay.
I do have an idea. Advertising. Sewer bills go out. They're already paid to send out. Not extra postage. It's there.
We do that. We've done that a lot, and it is a good utilization of those. We don't always get the best bang for our buck, as far as people. And obviously, that wouldn't satisfy any legal requirement. But we're always looking for things to put there.
A lot more people would have seen it this time.
Yeah.
It would have had to have been a very sweeping kind of advertisement that it was just a proposed zoning.
Well, that's
ordinance
true.
happening,
Right,
because the dates have changed so many times
Right.
through this process, so.
And I'm going to be
we
upfront with
wouldn't be
you.
allowed to put.
I say to people, hey, this was in your sewer bill. Oh, I just pull the sewer out and pay it and throw the envelope away. But,
thinking,
we
though.
do
You're
try,
thinking.
we try to put stuff, but as Amanda did say, those dates were constantly changing, so.
I'll keep thinking.
Okay, keep thinking, let us know, we appreciate it. Okay, all right. Okay, are you guys good? You're good? All righty, okay. I'm just going to, Nick, I'm just going to give you this, okay, that's my changes for. Thank you so much, okay. All right, we're going to move on to the first presentation, and thank you guys for coming, we really appreciate it, okay? First presentation of ordinance 2025-02, amending and clarifying certain provisions of the police pension plan documents. Mr. Miller.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Board, there's no action for these items tonight. The ordinance for adoption for next week is advertised, provided the board has no concerns here. I'll give you a brief overview of these pension plan revisions. From the highest level possible, there are no benefit changes, either to reduce or improve benefits. This is merely just text revisions to clarify a number of sections and incorporate additional law changes for those things that have been repealed and those things that have gone into place. So again, just very high level on this. We had last formally adopted plan revisions in 2012. There have been small amendments that have happened since that date, but we don't rewrite the plan when they happen. We do them as addendums to the plan. It had come up at that point. We had just done the one-time inflation mitigation stipends that the board had approved in 2023, and those had unique language to write them out of the pensionable wages discussion. That kind of kickstarted a discussion about we should probably revisit the plan since they hadn't been updated in a decade, and there were a couple law changes that we needed to clarify within them. So, as part of that, we also use that as an opportunity to clarify language where benefits had been managed in a certain way under the plan, but it just wasn't written in a clear manner to provide guidance as part of that plan document. Case in point was short-term disability, long-term disability, and workers' compensation. That determination of when you become an active employee and an inactive employee. To us, it was easily known and we could manage that, but we wanted to make sure that that was codified in this language. So again, most of these revisions were just to provide some clarity as far as the application of benefits. In relation to the plans, we provided a copy of each of these red line plans to the collective bargaining agreement representatives from each of the pension committees, and they were given a period of time of about a month to respond. We did get some responses from the police union, and we responded back in kind, and we've reached the point where they could then be brought to the board. So this early introduction was for you to have a chance to look at the red line copies in case you had any concerns or questions, which I'll be glad to take today. But apart from that, they'll be on your agenda next week for adoption, and we'll get those formalized and in place for our pensioners.
Okay. Do the board members have any comments? Any questions for Mr. Miller?
Well, just for record, unlike typical ordinances, this does not go through a public hearing period, so it would just be a straight adoption next week.
Okay. All righty, so we did the first presentation, and that'll be voted on next week. First presentation of ordinance 2025-03, amending and clarifying certain provisions of the non-uniformed employee pension plan. Mr. Miller.
That's a ditto on the last statement. They go hand in hand. They were revised together.
Okay. All righty. Anybody have any announcements? Announcements? Anybody from the public have any announcements? And thank you all for attending. With that said, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned.